Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Watchdives WD1970 Sterile 6105 Willard. This watch is available from watchdives.com for $105. Watchdives currently have stock in their US warehouse, and the watch is available exclusively to US buyers only. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with a piece. So the watch comes in this black plastic pelican case. I'll show you the interior. As you can see, both halves of the pelican case are lined with two foam panels, which does a good job of protecting the watch in shipping from any damage. I like these pelican style cases, they're very durable and practical. With regards to the items, this is the plastic warranty card, and I'm pleased to report the watch is covered by a 3-year international warranty, which is very good. And lastly, one also gets this stainless steel spring bar tool, 2-prong fork at one end, and we have a push pin at the other end, so useful for removing the bracelet and fitting a strap. So with regards to the specifications of the piece, this is the Watchdives WD1970. The watch is clearly an homage to the Seiko 6105 Willard Turtle, so very similar proportions. The WD1970 is available in two dial colour options, black and blue respectively, and it's also available on the oyster style bracelet you're looking at here, and alternatively a waffle rubber strap. So the price of the bracelet version and the waffle strap version are the same, $105. So with regards to the dimensions, we have a 43.8mm diameter, we have a 46.8mm lug to lug measurement, a thickness of 13.6mm and a lug width of 20mm. The oyster style bracelet tapers from 20mm at the lugs down to 18mm at the 2-button push flip lock clasp. Now, as always, I'm going to be critical of the flip lock clasp because it only has 3 micro adjustment holes. I prefer to see Watchdives upgrade this to a longer clasp with 4 micro adjustment holes. Alternatively, they could add some half links in the oyster style bracelet because it only has full links, and therefore it's difficult to get the perfect fit in the absence of half links and in the absence of 4 micro adjustment holes. There's no divers extension link. Now, the other negative to this clasp, as you can see, is it is a pressed stainless steel clasp. I would like to see Watchdives upgrade this to a solid milled stainless steel clasp, because I'm sure that collectors would happily pay an additional $5 to $10 on the retail price if this had a solid milled stainless steel clasp. But one has to expect some cost cutting measures because this is a low tier price point piece at only $105. With regards to the rest of the specification, we have a flat sapphire crystal with clear AR coating on the underside, and the clear anti-reflective coating does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the silver applied indices and the silver mirror polished baton hands. The handset is a very good replica of the Seiko 6105 Willard Turtle handset. Also, the proportions of the applied indices are exactly the same as the 6105 Willard. I like the symmetry of the dial layout, and I like the fact it's sterile rather than being branded with Watchdives. I think they've made the correct decision by making a sterile version with this WD1970. So dial layout is exactly the same as the original 1970s 6105 Willard Turtle. I like that the date complication is framed with a mirror polished silver frame, very aesthetically pleasing. White date wheel with black Arabic numerals is clearly legible, so the symmetry of the dial is very good, the legibility is good, and the clear AR coating performs very well. Nice large bevel machined to the edge of the sapphire crystal which catches the light. The ceramic bezel insert is very well finished, nice royal blue tone to it, glossy finish and fully inlaid with BGW9 Superluminova. They've inlaid the triangle at 12 o'clock very well, the minute ticks and also the Arabic numerals, and it has the classic Seiko dial layout, bezel layout, so it looks very good. The bezel is very well finished, solid 316L grade stainless steel, coin edge finished. Now the quality of the coin edge teeth is very good, they're very fine, no sharp edges, no burrs, and a nice large chamfer machined to the top edge, and that's mirror polished to a flawless standard. This is actually a better finished coin edge bezel than one gets on San Martin pieces, which are significantly more expensive. And it's very unusual to get a high finished coin edge bezel on a low tier piece costing $105, so Watchdives deserve full credit. This is one of the best finished coin edge bezels I've seen at this price point. With regards to the case finishing, it has the classic tonneau turtle case of the 6105 Willard. Beautiful luster to the brushed satin finishing to the tops of the case, and that contrasts with the flawless mirror polishing to the flanks. Nice undercut to the case, no sharp edges, no burrs to the underside, and we also have the classic lug shape and crown guard shape of the 6105 Willard Turtle. So it's a very good homage to the original 1970s Seiko 6105 case. Sterile crown and its coin edge finish with milled slots as per the 6105 Willard from the 1970s. So mirror polished domed cap, and it's very well executed. So let's test the bezel execution. 120 click unidirectional bezel. Fantastic. I really like the resistance of this. It feels very similar to a Seiko 5KX or a Seiko Turtle. Not too light, not too tight. It feels very smooth. It feels even all the way through the 360 degrees of rotation. I really like the fine, loud, audible clicks. No lateral side-side play whatsoever. No back play whatsoever, so it's a good tight bezel. This is 10 out of 10 bezel execution. It's one of the best bezels I've experienced at this price point, $105 within the low tier. It feels like a really tight bezel, but it's got medium resistance. It doesn't feel too tight as per a Steinhardt Ocean 139. So I'm just going to check the alignment. Perfect. The fully loomed BGW9 triangle on the ceramic bezel insert aligns correctly with the 12 o'clock index and 60-minute ticks on the chaptering. So Watchdives deserve full credit because this is 10 out of 10 bezel execution. No lateral side-side play, no back play, perfect alignment, just the right amount of resistance, feels smooth all the way through the 360 degrees. It's an example to other brands of how to get bezel execution perfect. So with regards to the crown, let's test the screw-down crown execution. The screw-down crown provides an effective hermetic seal to 200 meters, which is good. Absolutely silky smooth, no friction whatsoever. Perfect interface between the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. So this is powered by the Seiko NH35A automatic. So in the first position, it's the manual wind position. And one can feel the tension in the mainspring gradually building up to its maximum 40-hour power reserve. Absolute pleasure to manually wind the 35A, feels very smooth. So pulling it out to the first click position is the quick set date complication. And if you look closely at the date wheel, you can see the quick set complication clicks over with a nice positive click. It's something I really like about the 35A. The quick set complication has good solid indexing. One can feel each positive click of the day of the month clicking over. It feels very good to set the date. Pulling it out to the second click position is the time setting position, and as you can see looking at the second hand, I've now hacked the movement, so it's possible to hack the NH35A to set the time precisely to the second. No back play clockwise or anti-clockwise. This does feel better than the Miyota 8215, which does have some back play in the time setting position. Immediate pickup between the crown and the minute hand, there's no back play. It feels very good. Nice light resistance to the gearing, so it's an absolute pleasure to set the time. Pushing it back in, it's got a nice positive click, and that restarts the movement. So I really like the manual winding, the date setting, and also the time setting on the 35A. It's an absolute pleasure to use. So let's test screwing the crown back down. Immediate thread pickup. This is 10 out of 10 screw down crown execution. It is very good. It feels very good to the very best of Pagani designed PD1661 screw down crowns. They do make very smooth crowns and they do screw down immediately. So that's the kind of feeling one is getting with this WD1970. It really cannot be improved upon. I'm very impressed with this screw down crown. It works very well, silky smooth, immediate thread pickup. So I'll show you the case back. Mirror polished to a flawless standard, perfectly sterile, milled slots. And it's very comfortable to wear because although it's a bubble back case back, it's perfectly smooth and flat without any engraving, so it feels very comfortable against the wrist when wearing the piece for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day. So it's a very comfortable case back, and I like the fact it's perfectly smooth. And credit where credit's due, they've done a very good job of mirror polishing it. There's no flaws whatsoever in the machining. The mirror polishing is very high grade. And this is only $105 and it's one of the best finished mirror polished case backs I've ever seen on a watch. It's very well done. These solid end links are female pivoted end links and they're a good tight fit to the case, very well machined, no sharp edges, no burrs, and the underside to the head of the turtle tonneau case shape is also very well finished, no sharp edges to the underside of the flanks, so very nice satin finishing to it. Right, so I'll give you wrist shots and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now the thing to note is this does come with a very long bracelet, and it will fit up to an 8.5 inch wrist. I've actually removed one full link from the bracelet, and I've also moved micro adjustment up to position 1. And as you can see, it's still a good loose fit on my wrist. I can easily fit an index finger underneath the bracelet and clasp at all times. I like to wear my bracelets loose, so this will fit up to an 8.5 inch wrist. If you have a 7 to 8 inch wrist, no problems whatsoever. Now, usually I would be critical of an oyster style bracelet tapering from 20 to 18 because I consider 20 to 16 to be perfection. But however, I'm going to make an exception with this piece because it has a large head of the piece. It's 43.8mm, and therefore I think Watchdives have made the correct decision by using a 20 to 18 taper versus a 20 to 16, which is the industry standard. It really does need the 20 to 18 taper. It needs some extra heft on the bracelet to balance the heavy head of the piece. This is an incredibly heavy piece with all the links in the oyster style bracelet, 187 grams. Now, as you'll know from my previous reviews, I consider circa 150 grams to be the sweet spots because 150 grams gives a nice feeling of wrist presence and quality, but it also feels comfortable. It means that the watch doesn't feel top heavy. At 187 grams with all the links in the bracelet, it is 37 grams heavier than the perfect 150 gram sweet spot. Now, obviously, if you remove 4 or 5 links from the bracelet to fit a 6 to 7 inch wrist, you'll reduce it to circa 150 grams and therefore closer to perfection. I've removed one full link, and that has reduced the heft by 5 grams, but 187 grams really is heavy, and that's something to bear in mind. So if you have a smaller wrist of 6 to 7 inches, you may find it to be too top heavy and too heavy to wear for long periods of time, such as 8 to 12 hours per day to be comfortable. But however, if you have a larger wrist of 7 to 8 inches, you will enjoy the 43.8mm wrist presence and the heft at 187 grams. It does feel balanced because of the 20 to 18 taper, but it does feel very heavy. It is noticeably heavier than a 150 gram 40 or 42mm piece. The lug to lug measurement is relatively short at 46.8mm. Now, I consider 48mm to be the sweet spot for all wrist sizes, regardless of whether you have a 6 to 7 inch wrist or a 7 to 8 inch wrist respectively. At 46.8, it means that this is a snug fit, and it will fit you even if you have a 6 to 7 inch wrist, but I would recommend you purchase the waffle strap version because it will be lighter, and the waffle strap will reduce the heft to circa 135 to 140 grams, and therefore make it more comfortable if you have a smaller 6 to 7 inch wrist. So the bracelet version is best suited for 7 to 8 inch wrists. The waffle strap version is best suited for 6 to 7 inch wrists. Now, 13.6 millimeters tall, so it's going to be slightly more difficult to slip underneath a shirt cuff if you wear business shirts because 13 millimeters is the sweet spot. At 13.6 it's slightly taller, although it does wrap around the wrist very well. It's got a nice snug profile, very comfortable due to the undercut of the case. So when one flexes the wrist like this, the undercut of the case doesn't dig into the wrist. The tonneau case shape in the classic 6105 turtle case shape works very well. Undercuts on both flanks to the case. Nice taper to the head of the piece down to the bracelet. So the feel good factor is outstanding. Comfort level is outstanding. Legibility is very good due to the clear AR coating. The blue sunburst style is absolutely gorgeous, the way it changes from a royal blue to an electric blue. And also the colour tone match of the glossy ceramic bezel insert perfectly matches the royal blue tone of the sunburst style. So I'm very pleased with the colour tone match. The symmetry of the baton hands and the applied indices works very well. It's a very good homage to the 6105 Willard Turtle from the 1970s. Now that original 6105 Willard had a 19mm lug width, which was contemporary for the time. It was popular in the 1970s, but in the current day, 19mm is an odd size, so Watchdives have made the correct decision by upgrading the 19 original lug width to 20. I like the 20 to 18 tape, I think it's correct. Right, so let's do a Lume test and we'll see how the Lume performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. So as always, I'm going to use my 100 UV LED torch to charge it up to the absolute peak. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, it has not disappointed. Now, I'm going to be critical of it having BGW9 on the ceramic bezel insert and C3 Superluminova on the dial and hands. I personally prefer watches to have a colour match, BGW9 on the bezel, dial and hands, or alternatively C3. I don't like when brands use both Lumes, BGW9 and C3. Although this is subjective, I appreciate some collectors might actually like the contrasting colours, the blue BGW9 on the bezel and the green C3 on the hands and the dial. But I think it would look better if they had matched everything in blue or everything in green. But having said that, they've clearly used 5 to 6 layers of BGW9 on the ceramic bezel insert. The quality of the inlaying of the Lume on the minute ticks, the Lume triangle and also the Arabic numerals on the ceramic bezel insert is done very well. They're clearly legible. And also the applied indices and the baton hands are clearly loomed with 5 to 6 layers. They haven't used the cost-cutting measure of 2 to 3 layers. So it's glowing very brightly, both on the bezel and also the hands and dial, and it will continue to glow for a good length of time. So I'm very impressed with the quality. I would just like to see them match, either use BGW9 throughout or C3 Super Lume Nova throughout, but it's performing very well, and I like this sweeping second hand because we've got plenty of lume on that as well. So very good performance, and I'm very impressed, bearing in mind this is $105. Right, so let's discuss the movement used. You'll all be familiar with the Seiko NH35A Automatic. It's a reliable, well-proven workhorse movement. It has 24 joules and it runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 3 Hz. It has hand winding and hacking, which use for complications. The stated accuracy is -20 to +40 seconds per day, so rather wide accuracy range. However, I'm pleased to report that Watchdives are well regulating the 35As they're using. This one is running consistently at +7 seconds per day, which is very good. So +7 is well within the -20 to +40 stated accuracy, and I think it's perfectly acceptable. The 35A is the correct choice for a date complication piece. I like its reliability, I like its accuracy, the build's quality, quality control and materials are all very good. So good solid movement, and I think that this is a very good choice for this piece because it keeps the price down to $105, and it means that they can keep the specification strong because we have AR coating, BGW9 and C3 Super Lume Nova, and a fully loomed ceramic bezel insert, AR coating, so 200 meters, it's all strong specification. Now, so lastly I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price points. So, the price point of this piece is $105. It's strong specification for $105, but however, we do have some cost-cutting measures. The female pivoted end links are a good fit to the case. They do allow for articulation, but however, we do have some play in the push pins. I would like to see Watchdives upgrades using 1.6mm screw pins. Push pins are a clear cost-cutting measure. And as you can see, we do have some lateral side-to-side play, some up and down play and longitudinal play, and therefore the oyster-style bracelet does rattle. So there's room for improvement with the tolerances, the build's quality and the quality control of the bracelet. But having said that, the brushed satin finishing is done to a good standard, beautiful luster to it. And the mirror polishing to the flanks is also done to a good standard, no sharp edges, no burrs, and it doesn't pull arm hair. So although it rattles, it is a comfortable bracelet to wear. I've already outlined the lack of micro adjustments on the clasp and also the lack of a diver's extension link. I would like to see Watchdives upgrade using a solid milled stainless steel clasp, a longer clasp with a heavier gauge of stainless steel. And even if that means updating the price to buy $5 to $10, if they have to increase it, so be it, because I think collectors would pay for a better quality clasp. But having said that, on a positive note, it's inexpensive to purchase a solid mill clasp on AliExpress for $5 to $10, so one can easily upgrade the clasp to a solid mill clasp. So the bracelet does rattle and there is some play in it, but it is comfortable and it is well finished. The brushed satin finishing and the mirror polishing is good. The head of the piece is finished to a very high standard throughout, and most impressive is the bezel. The coin edge bezeling is very good. The teeth on the bezel are finished to a very high standard. The mirror polished chamfer to the top edge is outstanding, better than San Martin level. The ceramic bezel insert is also finished to perfection, so they deserve credit because the head of the piece is 10 out of 10. It's really just let down by the bracelet, which needs some improvement, and also the clasp. I think it's worth buying this on the rubber waffle strap because that would reduce the heft from 187 grams down to circa 135 grams. That would make it more comfortable. And it's the same price. It's $105 for the bracelet version, and it's $105 for the rubber strap version. I think the waffle strap version would be better. I think, yes, it's an excellent quality piece, and yes, it's excellent value at $105. So I'm going to recommend it to you for consideration. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Watchdives WD1970. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.